Let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt so completely overwhelmed by life that you start to wonder, am I just not strong enough for this? Well, today, we are diving into some seriously compassionate and really practical advice from Professor Kim Joo-han. He has this amazing way of showing how to turn all that emotional hardship into your greatest strength. So let's get into it.
So, let's start with this story. It comes from someone who had what the professor calls one of the most emotionally draining jobs you can imagine, a call center operator. I mean, think about it. Your entire day is spent just absorbing complaints and anger from strangers. For this person, the pressure got so intense, it led to actual panic attacks, that feeling of not being able to breathe, and it didn't just stop when they clocked out. It followed them home.
And when you're going through something like that, when you feel like you're just being crushed by the weight of it all, this is the question that almost always pops into your head, right? It starts as this little whisper that gets louder and louder. What is wrong with me? Why can't I handle this when other people seem to be doing just fine?
But right here, this is where Professor Kim just flips the script entirely. His answer is immediate, and it's so powerful. He says, no, absolutely not. You are not weak. The situation was just that incredibly hard. So instead of beating yourself up, the very first thing you need to do is show yourself some compassion. You need to be the one to give yourself a hug. And that leads us right into the first huge takeaway. If you really want to start healing and building that resilience, you have to completely change how you look at your own struggle. It all begins with letting go of the blame. The professor uses this amazing analogy. Think about it like this. If you trip on the sidewalk and scrape your knee, would you lay there yelling at yourself for feeling pain? Of course not. The pain is a natural result of the fall. Well, emotional pain is exactly the same. When life knocks you down, criticizing yourself for hurting only makes the wound deeper. The pain is a response, not a personal failure.
So, if the tough situations themselves aren't what's causing all of our long-term suffering, what is? Well, this brings us to identifying the real enemy. And it turns out, it's a lot closer than we think.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got the external stressors. You know, the angry customer, getting a divorce notice, tough stuff at work. These things are real, and they definitely hurt. But then look at the other side. That's the internal amplifier. It's that voice in your head, the negative self-talk that takes a bad situation and turns it into a total catastrophe. It's this inner critic that does the most lasting damage. So how in the world do we fight back against this inner critic? This is where Professor Kim introduces this fantastic concept he calls mind-muscle. And it's exactly what it sounds like, a type of resilience that, just like a muscle in your body, you can actually train and make stronger over time. Now, this is the most important part to get. This mind-muscle, or mayam-gunryuk, as it's said in Korean, isn't about just being tough or burying your emotions. Nope. At its absolute core, its entire foundation is built on one thing, a deep, stable, and unshakable sense of your own self-worth. And you can see here how it's built. It's like a chain reaction. It all starts with this one simple but profound core belief, I am precious. That's it. When you can really truly start to believe that, it automatically creates the feeling of self-esteem. And when you feel that self-esteem, it naturally leads you to act in a way that shows self-respect. See how one flows into the next?
You know, when we're little kids, we look to our parents to tell us we're good and that we have value. But here's the thing. As adults, the game changes. The professor really emphasizes that we can't just sit around waiting for other people to validate us anymore. We have to become our own main source of worth, of love, of acceptance.
Oh, okay. Now this is where the whole idea gets really deep. Building this mind muscle isn't just about getting through the tough times. It's about reaching a state that the professor calls happiness in disaster. Just look at this comparison. Most of us are chasing what's on the left. Conditional happiness. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy if this works out. It's so fragile because it depends on things outside of our control. But unconditional happiness, that's totally different. It's an internal feeling of peace that can exist even when you're struggling. It's not about getting rid of the pain, it's about finding peace in the middle of it. And this quote just hits so hard. I mean, just imagine it. You're in the middle of a storm. You're getting yelled at. You're dealing with a huge personal loss. You feel completely lost. And even then, you can connect to this core sense of well-being inside and say, I am happy. That, the professor says, is what true, unshakable happiness really is.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds incredible, but how on earth do I actually do it? Well, you're in luck. Let's get into the practical, step-by-step workout plan for building your very own mind muscle.
The first workout is all internal, and it's basically a 3-step routine to break that nasty habit of self-criticism. First, you just have to notice it. Become a detective of your own thoughts and catch that inner critic in the act. Second, you have to interrupt it. Literally, in your head, just say, stop, there's that bad habit again. And finally, you have to replace it. Reframe that mean thought with something compassionate, something you'd say to a good friend.
And this guide is just fantastic for specific situations. If you're feeling that panic or anxiety creep in, don't try to force yourself to be still and meditate. He actually suggests gentle movement like a walk or a slow run. If someone's words have really hurt you, try to find a little compassion for them. And this one is so important. If you are just chronically overwhelmed, the strongest and smartest thing you can do is talk to a professional.
And I absolutely love this analogy for dealing with difficult people. The professor says to picture a tiny little dog barking its head off. Is it doing that because it's big and strong? No, it's doing it because it's scared and feels weak. People who lash out with harsh words are often just like that barking dog. They're acting out of their own fear and weakness. When you see it that way, it kind of takes the sting out of their words.
Ultimately, all of this training, all of this work on your mind muscle leads you to this core belief. It's not about trying to stop bad things from ever happening again. That's impossible. It's about building this deep, quiet confidence inside you that says, you know what? Whatever life throws at me, I can accept it. I can handle it. I will be okay.
So as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this question that gets right to the heart of Professor Kim's teaching. It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic thing. Maybe it's just forgiving yourself for a tiny mistake you made. Or maybe it's just taking 5 minutes to step outside and breathe. So what's one small, simple, compassionate way that you can hug yourself today?